Hey guys, and welcome to another episode. Today in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to mount up your 4-piston brake calipers up to your car. Now, if you recently saw in the other videos, I showed you how to install stainless steel brake lines and the Fastbrake Caliper adapters so that I can get these calipers to work on the car. So I've got the calipers painted up and everything, all looking great, and we're going to be throwing them finally on the Accord. So taking a look at the adapter and everything, you can see that it's not actually perfectly centered. And that's not a design flaw, they actually built it like that on purpose, but just take note of that when you're installing these things. The side with the smaller clearance goes towards the actual brake. So I'll see if I can zoom in right here. Can you see how there's a smaller gap on the right side than there is on the left? So that this hole actually needs to be closer to this side. And that's just the way that it's designed. So if it doesn't fit with the way that you installed it, flip this thing around and then you'll be able to get it to mount properly. So before we install the new caliper onto the car, we need to remove the old one that's attached right here. So if you remember before, we attached it with a little hook and it's suspended up here on the top of the upper control arm. So just take it off the hook, remove that, and we're gonna have to disconnect the brakes right here from this banjo bolt. So this banjo bolt is holding in the brake line and securing it inside the back side of the caliper. So it goes the banjo bolt, a washer, the brake line, another washer, and then the brake caliper. And it's like that so that you don't get any leaking, and it's a perfect seal. So when you tighten this down, it squishes the metal and you get a good seal in between all of this. So when you press the brakes, you're not gonna have any brake fluid that's gonna leak from the backside. So to disconnect it, you need a 14mm wrench. Now I'm just using a flare nut wrench only because I was using the same thing when we were disconnecting the brake line. So loosen up this bolt, and as soon as you do that, brake fluid is gonna wanna come out. So disconnect it and have something underneath to catch all the brake fluid that's gonna fall. So the way that we're gonna install this now is you're gonna have your banjo bolt, then your washer, feed it inside the brake line, then grab your other washer, attach it on the back side of there, and then this is gonna be fed inside the rear side of the brake caliper. But before we do this, I'm first gonna secure it up and mount it on the back side of the adapter right here. So grab your brake caliper, mount it up on the back side of the adapter, and then you should have those 2 bolts that came with the adapter kit. It'll feed all the way through the caliper, it'll come out the back side right there, and then you're gonna be able to align it up and then start tightening each one of these bolts down. You're gonna have one up here, and you're gonna have another one down here. And once you have both the top and the bottom bolts secured, we can now attach the brake line. So have it angled up back here, and then feed it through here. Now this torque spec isn't gonna be too much. It's actually only tightened up to 14 foot-pounds of torque. So if you don't have a torque wrench, it's not a big deal. Just grab your wrench and attach it on the back side of here, and just moderately tighten this. You want the copper washers on both sides to slightly squish to the point that you're gonna get a proper seal. Once you have that done, make sure that you don't have any brake fluid on the paint because the brake fluid is gonna eat it up. So grab a can of brake clean and just spray down the entire caliper. So now we have to mount and install the brake pads inside the caliper. So you have to make sure that you put a little bit of 3M copper anti-seize on the side of it because that's the part that's gonna be wearing and getting in contact with the caliper. So you don't need much, you just need a small dab of it on the side and then insert it like that. Now if it falls in, it's not a big deal. We can just pick it up in 2 seconds, and you're going to do the same thing for both sides. So if you notice on this pad, you're not gonna have your little warning indicator. It's actually gonna be on this one, because if you mount it on the front side, you're gonna actually see it and it's gonna be exposed. So to make a clean look, have it so it's mounted on the back. But you just grab your pad and slide it in place. So if the pads fall all the way in, it's not a big deal. Just grab a little hook tool, and you're gonna be able to just slide it and pull it back up. Just like that. So once you have it pulled up forward, to make sure that it doesn't slide back in, grab your pin, feed it through the front of the caliper, and make sure that it goes through the hole on the pad. And do the same thing for the back one. So pull the pad forward, and slide the pin through it. Just like that. And once you have the first one in, you're then gonna grab your spring clip, make it face down so all the arms are facing forward. Push the middle one down underneath the pin, and have the back one just dangle like that. You're then gonna grab the other pin for the bottom, feed it through the back hole, and then you're gonna have to push this middle clip down so the spring is gonna be underneath the actual pin. And then just feed it through to the other side. Now this might be kind of difficult, so grab your hook and either pull it forward or push it in accordingly. And you're eventually gonna get it so you push both pins all the way through. You should see that there's these two little pieces that slide through the backside. Then grab your little clip and you're gonna have to feed this little part inside the pin, same thing on this side, and then fish in this little piece through the middle of the caliper. And then just spin it until you have it facing forward and push it in place. Now at this point, the install is done. All you have to do now is bleed the brakes and then put the wheel back on. Now I've showed you before how to do both of those. So bleed the brake, put the wheel back on, torque the lug nuts up, and you're done. Something that you guys have to consider when you're doing these brakes is that you have to keep in consideration that the brake caliper itself is bigger and fatter than the OEM one. So make sure that you're gonna have enough clearance in between, say, the caliper and the rim. Now for my car, I've got enough room. I've got basically a finger width gap, but if you don't have enough room, you're gonna have to install wheel spacers if you wanna keep the same wheels. Now, if you guys don't know how to install wheel spacers on your car, I'll have an annotation right here so you guys can click on it and find out exactly how to install them and what they're useful for. I made a video regarding exactly that, so you guys can check that out, and then you guys can be on the same page as me. If you guys have any questions or anything regarding this video, throw them down in the comment section below, and I'd be happy to help. Again, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.